Welcome to the Best Dam Podcast. This is your host, Jill Lagan, CEO of the Boulder City Chamber of Commerce. In each episode, we will highlight what makes Boulder City, home of the Hoover Dam, the ideal place to operate your small business, explore world-class tourism attractions, and discover why we are the perfect place to live and unwind. What a fun day we're going to have today with this dynamic duo, Miss Kathleen Morris and Mary Ralph. They are both they're president and past president of Emergency Aid of Boulder City. So a lot of presidential activity going on here today. We are very excited to have you because such a special organization, so important and valuable in our community. And you, too, are very important and valuable. So thank you for being here, ladies.
Welcome. Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you for having us.
We are excited to learn a little bit more about our Boulder City Emergency Aid. And I say that because it is so important and valuable to this community, and the money that is raised here stays here. And I think that there's so much value in that, and I think people are very impressed by that and the hard work that you guys do. But I want to talk a lot about the history, too. I don't think people really understand so much about the history. So let's kick this off, though, and kind of share with us what is emergency aid and the value that it brings to Boulder City. And so, Mary, we'll let you start as past president. You've got a lot of experience.
Oh, well, emergency aid it started when the dam was being built, and it helps neighbors helping each other. And what we do presently is we help with food insecurity and also rent and utility assistance. So we help people in an emergency. But the food insecurity is not an immediate emergency where we have a food pantry, which is client choice. They can go in and pick out what they want and need for that week. And they get to use the pantry every week, as opposed to some of the other food banks in Las Vegas where they're only a monthly, able to come once a month.
Oh, interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah.
So very valuable information. And I don't think people realize that this isn't the situation of after they're already unhomed. Your goal and one of the strategies that you guys use is you want to be able to reach out and help those individuals before they get to that point. Your goal is to make sure that they don't become unhomed. Is that correct?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Our goal is to help in that emergency before it becomes a crisis. And then a person doesn't know what else to do because they've got an eviction notice or they've got a shut-off notice from the utility company. We're there to help them get to before that situation occurs.
Right. Thanks, Mary. So, Kathy, as you came in as president after Mary served for 3 years, and you are 2.5 so far, right?
Correct.
And so as you came in, you stepped into these big shoes. What were you starting to see? What are some of the thought process behind the current board with emergency aid?
Well, our grants are down, and so we've had to make some changes and be a little bit, we've had to make sure that it really is an emergency and be more careful with our funds. And when we had the presidential election that just happened, we get food from 3 Square, and that's from the government. It's called TPAP, which is called the Emergency Food Assistance Program. And so after the election, we didn't get much from 3 Square. And for the first time, we had to go out and buy meat. We had to buy chicken and beef and cereal. And so with things are loosening up again, and we're starting to get more food, but we're still having to buy it. But our grants are down, so we don't have as much money for rent and utilities. So we're having to be careful with the money that we have and spend it judiciously. We have to be careful.
Well, as a board, I mean, that really is your charge, right, is to be fiscally responsible and to pay attention to the governance of the organization, because it still is an organization. It's operating like a business. You are having to go after grants. You're going after donations. You've got amazing fundraising programs that we'll talk about here in a minute. And so all of those things are, because you're not government funded. There's nobody handing you out a monthly stipend so that you know exactly how much you can budget for and what you can and can't give away. And the other unknown is you also don't know how many people are going to be in need that month, right? So you guys are in this constant, variable, flexible position, and yet have done an amazing job for so many years. So thank you very much for all of your service and for what you guys do. It's such an asset to Boulder City and to those individuals that need it. Can I get to know a little bit more about what skills did you guys bring to the table? What did you do initially, Mary? What was your career in life?
I was a registered nurse for close to 20 years. I actually came out of retirement or got emergency licensure during COVID and helped the city with the vaccination clinics that we did here in Boulder City. And that's actually how I met Kathy's daughter.
Oh, yeah.
And then her daughter was asking me about emergency aid, and next thing you know, we've got a wonderful volunteer, Kathy, who steps into the presidential chair of the organization. But that's just a side note. I also worked for 20 years in Durango, Colorado, as a pastoral assistant to our church. And when we moved here to Las Vegas 12 years ago, my husband got transferred to the VA hospital as a nurse, but my husband and I are both registered nurses. And I got a job at Catholic Charities and worked as their volunteer outreach coordinator. And that's where I got to understand more about development and food pantries and volunteers and all that great stuff.
And so I ask you to share all of that because I think it outstandingly outlines the importance and the value of the skills that these volunteers are bringing to the table. So not only do you have all of that massive knowledge and experience, but you have applied that to being one of the main grant writers and a very successful writer for the organization. And so it's incredible the amount of talent that we have here in Boulder City and how we all use it for good. So thank you very much. And so I have a lot of history about Miss Kathy, but will you kind of share a little bit? You were a business owner. You were quite the entrepreneur.
Well, I was born and raised in Boulder City, and I went to college and got a degree in accounting and business administration. And through the years, I used to do accounting for different businesses. And then when we moved back to Nevada, I have run 4 different businesses and presently just run one business. But I guess it's my business background that's maybe helped a little bit with being the president of emergency aid, just trying to, as we don't have as much money, trying to make things stretch further and just making emergency aid a little bit more. I've helped with the audit. We have audited financial statements every year, and so I've helped with that, and we're doing a better job recording all of our donations, and because we get a lot of in-kind donations, and we didn't really record some of that before. And so we're trying to record all that so our financials really show exactly what money we get and how we spend it.
The advantage to that is, so a lot of our nonprofit organizations, they're all volunteers and they're doing the best they can with the skills and the knowledge that they have. But when you start looking at needing to run it like a business, because it is a corporation, but when you need to start running it like a business, being responsible to Secretary of State and the IRS, all of those individuals, because you're receiving people's hard-earned income and taxpayer dollars in some different capacities, when those dollars are coming in, we that are giving want to make sure that you guys know what you're doing and that we're giving to the right organization and it's being used wisely. And so I so appreciate the business component that you bring to that, because you're going to look at things differently, right? And so putting maybe processes in place and, like you said, the audits and those kinds of things, having somebody who has that knowledge and that experience really makes it much easier for that volunteer who just sat down and they were a caregiver or they were a whatever. They didn't have the ability to make the books work. So that is a phenomenal opportunity, and glad you also have that talent you're bringing to the table. So we so appreciate you guys being willing to serve in this volunteer capacity. So let's talk a little bit more about emergency aid. So we know its history. And if I remember right, I think I read something, Kathy, you had sent, that it actually started back when the dam was being built and there were workers, there was a strike that was going on. Is that right? A union? Was there a
strike going on with the workers of the dam? And I think it only lasted 3 or 4 days, but the people got together and shared food, and that's kind of the start of it. And from that, it morphed into food in a garage or food, and then eventually to where we are now. So obviously in the beginning it was food only, and then we branched out to do emergency assistance also. So emergency food and assistance. And then in 1966 we incorporated, and it was interesting. I was reading the incorporation papers, and you would have recognized a lot of the names on those because there was a couple of reverends that were part of the incorporation. So we incorporated in March 28th of 1966. So we're coming up to our 60-year anniversary of being incorporated, but we were doing business, we were a charity before 1966 also.
That is amazing. And isn't that fun to go back? So we were just walking out of my office, and I have on my wall a framed picture of the newspaper of when Boulder City incorporated, and they called it the Emancipation and everything. Well, I walk past that every dang day, and I didn't think twice about it. And I'm going down the stairs, head out the back door, and Kathy goes, "There's a picture of my dad on your wall." And I'm like, "Really?" I didn't even remember that it was in there. So, because I have a picture of my mom when she was flying planes. It's above the TV. I don't know if you caught it all the way up there, but she held the record as the youngest female solo pilot in the state of Nevada. And so that's a picture of her when she got that title. Anyway, so yes, a lot of history, and super, super glad that we have that, right? Because then it also shows more value in the establishment of these organizations, these volunteer groups, these charities. They all come together for all the right reasons. And so anyway, love the history and very grateful that we have people that are willing to work on it. As a matter of fact, it sounds like how many volunteers do you guys have? It's close to 100?
Well, during different times, we have more than 150, because when we do Boulder City Angels at Christmas time, we get a full influx of volunteers that only help for that event. And then when we do back to school, we get an influx of volunteers that only help for that event. But on a daily basis, we have a little under 50 that work daily and monthly that come in, that just work up at the water power building. So those volunteers work. They either come once or twice a week, or some of them every day. We only have one paid part-time employee, and the rest of us are all volunteers, which is unusual because even most 501c3s have more paid employees, and we don't. We pride ourselves in not spending a lot of money on any kind of overhead. And so the money that people donate actually stays in Boulder City and goes to our programs.
Right, exactly. So very grateful for that. I would imagine over the years that you guys have shared as volunteers, you've probably had an aha moment. Is there something that you can think of, a time interacting with the clients, something that has happened, maybe even interacting with the volunteers? I would imagine volunteers probably have aha moments every day as they realize the value and the impact that they have in others' lives. But can you think of an aha moment that you would like to share?
I think for me, during the pandemic, we were able to stay open. We managed to have people still come to the food pantry and also in the intake offices for emergency assistance. And that we saw so many people I would never even imagine coming to us for assistance. And I think the one aha moment was when this young single mom came to us. She had an amazing job down on the Strip, and she had trouble getting her rent paid. Her father moved in with her, and so she was being a caretaker for him because he had some disabilities, but she also had a young child and was used to having a very nice income prior to the pandemic. And I think just her coming back and thanking us and saying how much this really made a difference. And even the pantry, she never in her life thought that she would have to use any of our services, but she was so thankful and blessed that Boulder City had this.
Yes.
Because we're not part of Clark County Social Services. Sometimes we are involved in some of their meetings and that, but we have no resources that Clark County Social Services has. And that is the real challenge for us here in Boulder City. Thank God for Jennifer,
Yeah.
because she is kind of the guru of helping us find other resources that Boulder City doesn't have.
Yeah, she's a wealth of knowledge, Jennifer Headland at the hospital. Yeah, we're so grateful for her and the grant that the city got so that they were able to bring her to us and provide all of the resources that she has.
Absolutely.
Yeah, wealth of knowledge. I'm glad that she has made a difference for you guys too.
Oh, absolutely.
That's awesome. Okay, Miss Kathy, your turn. Have you had an aha moment?
There's been a lot of them, but this past Christmas when we did Boulder City Angels, we had a young man that was a single father that signed up for gifts for his child, and he couldn't come pick it up on the day that we handed out the gifts, and so he came in later, and I was in the office, and he had never used our services before. He'd never used Boulder City Angels, so he didn't know what to expect. And when he came into the office and there was a bag of toys, and I mean, he just broke down and cried because his child wouldn't have had any Christmas that year. And it's interesting, I mean, that he was just so surprised at everything that he got and for using the pantry also. But this year we actually gave out more presents to seniors than we did to children. So our senior population is growing, and every day we see these seniors that come in that are on very low Social Security income or disability, and they wouldn't make it without our food. And so we're trying to, in the pantry, we're trying to carry stuff that they can cook easily, that they can, because some of them don't even have stoves. So they only have microwaves and refrigerators or whatever. So we're trying to carry stuff that is easy for them to cook. So our senior population, so we keep statistics every month. And so at our board meeting, this last meeting, just the general population of coming to get food was a little bit down, but our senior population is up. And I think that we're going to continue to see that in Boulder City,
right?
Because we're aging, and there are a lot of seniors that are on fixed incomes, and these seniors are very grateful.
Absolutely. Well, and much like Mary said, we aren't part of the Clark County system, but even if we were, them having to get into Vegas or Henderson or wherever to get to those services, that is almost not even, that's just insurmountable. And so I can only imagine that having someplace local in rural communities has got to be so invaluable. And I'm grateful that we have it. And I feel horrible for those those communities that don't have access to that. That's going to be so difficult. And you are right, the senior population is definitely growing. We're seeing that. We're seeing in the statistics overall. But another statistic you shared I thought was interesting. 3 Square says that 1 in 7 people in Clark County are food insecure, and that number goes down with children. It's 1 in 5. That is so scary. I wonder what it is for seniors, though.
Yeah, they don't really give a statistic for seniors, but that they do give those statistics, and that has changed because when I first started as president, it was 1 in 8 and 1 in 7 of the kids, and it's gone up. Or now it's 1 in.
That ratio is definitely changing.
Yeah, the ratio is changing, and we've seen a lot more food go out of our pantry for sure.
Yeah. So where exactly are you located for those that may not know?
So we're located at 600 Nevada Way, and then we're located in the Department of Water and Power building. It's an old building that the city owns. The city lets us use the building for free. They have been very generous with us, and they pay our utilities, which I can't even imagine what our utility bill is because of all the freezers and refrigerators we have, and then just keeping this old building air conditioned. And so we'd like anybody to come by and take a tour if they haven't seen it. It's a good building to see anyway because there's a lot of history in that building.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's a beautiful building.
I agree. It's one of my favorite in town. And what are your hours of operation?
So the pantry is open Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday from about 8:30 to 11. And the intake office is open Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and
Thursday.
Monday, Tuesday, Thursday. I'm sorry. And that's from 9 to 11 also.
Okay. And so you're not open on Saturday?
We're not open on Saturday.
Got it. And you guys do special drives. There's different times a year that we'll see pantry drives. And so when they come to drop off their food, they don't come to the front. Do you have them go to the back and drop it off at the back gate? Or
We try to get them to drop it off to the back gate, but there's a lot of time where people just drop off food at the front of the building if we're not open. And the back gate is shut, so if we're not open, sometimes they'll leave food by the back gate, but we try to get them to come when we're open and then drive through the back gate and come in that way.
And so they can donate that way. And then I know you have a little companion program with the post office, and the postal carriers do their little collection for you. I know the Scouts do something along that line. But people can donate just anytime. They don't have to wait for one of those special programs. They can either donate cash. They can also, can they bring gift cards?
They certainly can bring
Yeah.
gift cards. And we're getting ready for the postal drive right now. I have to say that I don't know if the post office isn't endorsing it as much, but the first year we got like 22,000 pounds from the post office. The last 2 years, 2,000 pounds. So the post office is they're supposed to take these cards and leave them into everybody's mailbox, a card that says we're doing the postal drive. And then emergency aid we spend about $800 and we buy bags. And we ask the post office to deliver the bags to everybody in Boulder City. And what we found is that last year I didn't get a postcard or a bag. So I don't know if they're not delivering them, but it just hasn't brought us the food that we used to get. We used to count on that food to get us through the whole summer, and we really can't count on that, but it would be good if we could get the people
Donating more. And so when is that drive actually supposed to happen?
I should know that because we just ordered the bags. But
Well, how about this? So we don't have to worry about it for this recording anyway. How about if you'll share that with me, let's do a big blast. Let's blast that to the community so that they know, because I think we rely on just maybe getting that card or maybe getting the bag. Until I see the orange bag, I don't even think about it. And to be honest, I don't know that I've ever even noted that there's been a postcard. So maybe let's partner up on this and let's do a big blast and see if we can't make an educational opportunity to share with Boulder City that it's happening, and then see if we can't do a bigger push.
yeah, that would be great.
And then do the residents then bring you the bag and drop it there? Or aren't they supposed to give it to the postal worker?
They just leave it out by their post office box, whatever. So if it's a group box, they just leave it by the group box. If it's delivered to your house, and if you just leave it outside, and the post office is supposed to bring it, pick it up. And bring it. And so they do it on a Saturday. It's always on a Saturday. And so then we have all these workers. And like the first time that I went up there and we got the 22,000 pounds of food, all the aisles were completely full. In the last 2 years, we've been able to put the food away in hours.
Oh.
Because it's been, so 2,000 pounds to 20,000 pounds is a big difference. But,
Yeah.
But we also have other food drives. There's the Scouts. We got 1,000 pounds from the Scouts this year. But there's just little food drives. Like Amber Bartholomew, she just takes her grandkids shopping and she lets them buy $500 to $600 worth of food, and she brings them. And those little kids are so cute, and they just one can at a time, they bring them up. And other people have been doing parties, birthday parties, and instead of bringing presents, they bring food or bring donations. And so we've gotten quite a bit of donations that way. And then the police department decided to do a food drive this year, and they got over 2,000 pounds in like 3 hours.
Wow.
Just setting up outside of Albertsons.
So let's do a challenge. Let's issue a challenge right here and right now, that families think about that as being a way to teach their youth a little bit more about giving to others, about being more giving, more kind, and the fact that they can help others because sometime it might be them. And so much like Amber, who I just absolutely love and adore, maybe we challenge people to look at doing that. It doesn't have to be just at Christmas time. It can be throughout the year. Maybe challenge somebody to help their grandkids, kids, niece and nephew understand a little bit more about the system, bring them there so they can see what the center looks like. Now they visualize how people are coming and collecting that food and utilizing it in their own lives. And so I love the idea too of birthday parties and special events and even retirement parties. Don't bring me a gift. I'm not saying I'm retiring, just don't even think that. Someone's going to say something. I'm going to get it on Facebook. But anyway, just the idea of instead of a gift, start thinking about doing it as a donation instead. And any of us can drop stuff off at any time.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah, love, love, love it. Okay, that's our challenge. We'll see who takes us up on that.
Right. Sounds
I would
great.
love that to be a thing. Okay, so we've already talked a little bit about some of the issues, but it doesn't sound like you're having issues finding volunteers. That seems like it's going well. You've got a facility now that's got quite a few new sets of equipment with the freezers and the refrigerators and things that you've been able to replace. And let's talk about why you were able to replace that, because you guys brilliantly last year came up with the idea of doing a fundraising gala. Let's talk a little bit about that and how successful that was. Whose idea was that?
Well, that was actually my idea.
And I know you hate to take credit, but I did know the answer to that question.
It was my idea. I had a lot of sleep over this whole gala, but it would have never turned out without everybody's help. And we had a fundraising committee. There was, I don't know, there's 10 or 12 of us. I can't even. And it took the whole committee to pull this off. And it was very successful. We honored Jack Edwards and his wife. And Jack Edwards has done a lot for emergency aid over the years. He's raised a lot of money. He's one that has a birthday party every year his birthday is right around Christmas, and he's one that has a birthday party, and they always bring us gift cards and cash instead of anybody bringing them gifts. But I have to say that it couldn't have been done without the group because it turned out really well.
It was such a collaborative effort, too, because there were so many different experiences in fundraising for the people that were on our committee. And so we took a lot of different ideas and just melded them into one big, wonderful event. And fundraising is one of the things that we have to start focusing on more for our organization, because the grants are so much less. And even in the grant writing, they're asking, what else are you doing in order to sustain yourselves?
Mm-hmm.
And Boulder City has been so amazing with their donations for food and even cash donations, but it's not enough to sustain a couple $100,000 budget that we end up having every year. So fundraising has to be another large effort for us to ask Boulder City to help us with. And we had such wonderful people participating this past year and donors that came to the event.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
And I had to give a lot of credit to Mike Giroux because he gave me the idea of doing this cash call, and I've never thought of that on my own. And so we did a cash call for freezers because we had freezers that were down, and 3 Square brings us food once a month, and we had to turn away food because we didn't have room in our freezers. And from that fundraiser, the cash call itself brought in $58,000, and with that money, $23,000 of it went to 2 new freezers and a refrigerator, so that we can actually accept the donations that we have. But we would have never done that without Mike Giroux's suggestion. And Mary's husband did it, and he did the
MC.
He was
Fun.
He was MC.
And my husband jokes because I had these little posters, and I was walking around with a picture of food on pallets. This is what we're doing. So first we did the freezers, and we got 3 people to donate $6,000 for freezers, and then we did pallets of food. And we started at $5,000, and we went down to $2,500, and then we did pallets of cereal, and we started at $1,000, and we went down to $500, and the lowest that we asked for was $250. And one person that I know that's a friend, she's like, I just had to give $250 because I just couldn't imagine these families going without cereal. And anyway, it was very successful, and then the other donations that we had, I mean, the credit union, huge.
Oh, yes.
Sponsorships,
and
yes.
the sponsorships that we had, and we couldn't have done it and some other local donors too that just donated to the whole gala.
Well, I think it's a fabulous idea, and we go to other galas and we see exactly how that fundraising effort works, and we learn to incorporate that into what it is that you're doing. And so grateful that we have the Boulder City Hospital Gala is a fabulous way for us to also contribute and give back to this community. And what a fun way to celebrate and also appreciate your volunteers. They enjoy being recognized for their value and all their hard work. And so it was just what a fabulous night. You guys came up with a great idea. So I'm sorry you lost sleep, but I'm really glad that you're looking to do it again. And we will make sure that we help you get that promoted so people will know more about it. You, over the years, have really developed a great working relationships with local businesses as well. And I know Albertsons is somebody we should probably give a shout out to because it's amazing what they have what they've donated over the years.
Yes.
For sure. We got 100,000 pounds from Albertsons last year. We actually weigh all of our donations are weighed. So that's how I can say that we got 1,000 pounds from the Boy Scouts, or we weigh the postal drive. So we pick up from Albertsons every day that we're open. So we pick up Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. And we weigh all their donations. And so we got 1,000 pounds donated, but they also donate cards. So they donate Albertsons cards at Christmas time, and we give out Christmas cards for
Gift cards
for Albertsons, and so we got $15,000 in gift cards last year from Albertsons to give out.
That's amazing.
So yeah, when we're checking out at Albertsons and it'll ask on the little keypad, do you want to help a needy family? That money stays in Boulder City in our local Albertsons. And so all that money that you generously donate comes back to us. And like Kathy said, last year was just amazing with the gift cards that we were able to distribute to our families, especially at the holiday times. It really helps them. I know in the past, Boulder City used to give a food basket out with a turkey and all the trimmings for a Thanksgiving dinner. But over time, Albertsons has just been giving us the gift cards instead of the turkeys. And it's so much better because then you can go into the store and buy, if you don't like turkey, you can buy a ham or you can buy some big family pack of ground meat and make some great burgers and a barbecue.
Well, and it makes them feel normal.
Exactly.
They get to go shopping like a normal person. I am so grateful that our pantry allows them to select. I mean, that also contributes and allows them to feel human and important and all of those things that they need to feel that. Sure. And so very glad that's the thing I can imagine those gift cards also mean I get to go and feel like I'm shopping like everybody else.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That is incredible. Well, very grateful for all the different people and businesses that are contributors, because I know there really are many of them. And we have some very generous people here in Boulder. And I want to remind people it doesn't only have to be at Christmas time. Right. That's when we're thinking about it. That's when donations, I know, become stronger. But throughout the year, it's your birthday, it's your kid's birthday. Think about somebody else that's missing out on that and utilize that time to give. It might just be a good reminder. We're always reminded to change the batteries in your smoke detector. Well, when you're thinking about those key annual things, be thinking also about your giving and the thought process of maybe adding it into your monthly budget. What does that look like for you? So it's another great challenge out there, because I'm sure you two ladies have given plenty over the years. And we sure appreciate all that you guys do. And are there any other thoughts or anything else you'd like to share that I haven't covered?
I just wanted to say that I started volunteering under Mary, and Mary did such a good job and some really hard shoes to fill. And I am nearing the end of my presidency, because you can only be it for 3 years. And so there's going to be a new president in July. And it's hard to
let go.
It's hard to let go, but it's also time too, because I know when Mary was done with her 3 years, she was ready for a break. And so we're looking for a new president.
Aha. Putting that out there. They've got feelers going on. Well, I'm sure there's going to be somebody that has just as much skill and heart and belief in the program as you two. And so you'll find the right person, and it will be a good match, and they will carry on the longstanding tradition and all the hard work that you guys have put into it. So thank you for your service. Thank you for having emergency aid so that we have it here in Boulder City. Thank you also for the Boulder City Angels program that you guys do at Christmas time. I know that is something that's very valued by so many as well, and another great opportunity for us to be considering and planning as we get ready to go into the fall season. I know it's hard to think of it right now.
Right.
We're worrying about the summer, but it's something that we're already planning Christmas activities. So time to be thinking about that kind of stuff all year long. So you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for what you do. Thank you what you do for others and your kind hearts, and we sure appreciate you.
Thank you for what you do, too, because I think the Chamber of Commerce is really important to Boulder City, and we're lucky to have you as our leader.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And we've had a lot of great people that have led us to this point, right?
Yes.
I didn't mention who your daddy is, but he is one of my very special friends. So thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This episode of the Best Damn Podcast has been a production of the Boulder City Chamber of Commerce. Please check out all the links and social media handles on our website as well at bouldercitychamber.com. You can find the Best Damn Podcast on all your favorite podcast directories. Like us and share on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Until next time, discover, explore, and unwind in Boulder City.